Our final look at the structure and leadership of local government to talk about special districts and regional agencies. So, a special district is a response to a specific issue. States can create them through enabling legislation. In other words, the state legislature can say, you can form a water district. A general purpose local government, like a city or a county, can create a local district through some sort of resolution of the city council or the county supervisors, and citizens can create a special district by petitioning it and putting it on the ballot. They get their revenue in a couple of different ways. The first is that they can levy taxes directly, subject to Prop 13 limits. They can also levy user fees. So, for instance, if you are getting water from a water district, the water district may um, charge you on a per gallon or per 100-gallon basis for the water you and your family use. And then they can also get revenue through appropriation, and that is funding from another government, such as a city, a county, state, or the federal government. Special districts have to have an elected governing board. They have to serve a distinct area that your school district has boundaries, and they serve a single purpose. Whereas a county deals with crime and it deals with health issues and it deals with fire. The special districts only deal with one thing. They deal with the water issues or the school issues or maybe of the park issues or something like that. In California, there are 57 different types of special districts, but two of them are the most common. One is the school board. There are 977 in California, 28 of them here in Orange County. The LAUSD is the largest school district in the country. It's got 677,000 students, which is about 10% of the total student population in the entire state. On the other hand, we have very, very, very small school districts. There are a number that have 4 or 5, but Panacea Elementary School up north has the record for the fewest number of students. Currently, they have 3 students, which is kind of interesting because there's 5 members of the school board. So there's 1.6 school board members for every student. The next most common is water boards. There are 537 in California and 19 here in Orange County. There are other types of districts. Usually these types of districts can be often filled by county or city governments, but sometimes they split them off to handle a specific issue that the county or city legally could handle if they wanted to. Other times there are things that are kind of unique to the area or may serve a purpose larger than any one jurisdiction. For instance, an airport district might accompany more than just the city it's in or just the county it's in. So here's some examples: a fire district, a library district, a zoo district, community college districts. All of our community colleges are governed by elected community college district boards, unlike the UCs and Cal States that have governor appointed trustees. A cemetery district, an air quality district, a parks and rec district. One of because school districts are the most prominent special district, one of the big things that people have to decide is how big should a school district be? So one of your questions, your activity questions is about the size of school districts. So I want you to think about this just in time governance and things like that. The school districts is a very, very visible thing. People notice there's schools in their area, even when most of government seems invisible to them. Like I said, Los Angeles has 677,000 students. Orange County has 29 districts, covering 400, less than 500,000 students. So in other words, Los Angeles Unified is bigger than all of our school districts put together. And this can be a boon or it can be a distraction. So, for instance, in Los Angeles, there are a number of district-wide schools. There is a highly gifted program in the LA Unified School District where students with IQs of over 140 are in one high school. There are programs for students in the arts. There are programs giving vocational and technical education and things like that. We don't tend to have those here in Orange County because none of our school districts are big enough to provide them. Our school districts, on the other hand, are much more homogenous. If you think about a school district like Irvine, which is one of the top 5 public school districts in the country, and the population they're serving versus the population that the Santa Ana schools are serving, there is an argument to be made that even though Irvine and Santa Ana are very, very close to each other geographically, they're worlds apart in terms of the kind of education that needs to be provided to meet the demographic needs. And Santa Ana has much higher poverty level. They have a much higher English language learner level, and by having these separate districts, you're able to meet the needs of fairly homogeneous populations better. The One of the things to look at with this is that in Los Angeles County, they have a ton of private schools. And there's a real feeling among upper middle class and wealthy people that you do not put your kids in public schools. Where here in Orange County, we have far fewer private schools. And there may be a relationship between small homogenous districts, meaning that parents don't pull their kids out of school and put them in private schools. There's not a proven correlation, but at a gut level, you can kind of see it, and you can see the proof in terms of the number of private schools per capita in the 2 counties. There are some big issues with school districts. One of them is equalization. Are we providing the same quality of education across schools and across school districts? Do the schools have have equivalent resources, and do they have the resources they need? How is the budget determined, and is the budget being spent in the way that people would most like? What curriculum is being delivered? Huge issues, especially around Common Core and standardized testing. And then some of the issues revolve around special education, expulsions, and other discipline, where the school board itself has to deal with these issues. A principal at a school can suspend a child, but they cannot expel a child. They have to petition the school board to have a suspension turned into an expulsion. And so school districts are dealing with discipline and things like that all the time. Um, in terms of special districts, one of the issues is jurisdiction. Um, what area will the special district cover? With cities and counties, those areas are fairly well defined, but special districts can overlap multiple areas, or they can serve sub areas. A special district can be part of a city, or it can be cover 2 or 3 different counties. Another issue is financial constraints. The special districts have to figure out how to fund their operations because they are limited in how they acquire money. And then technical issues, expertise. When you look at like local water boards, you will find that many of the people who sit on water boards have experience as engineers, as architects, as water safety kind of people in their their professional lives, and they're bringing that expertise to the school district. For a technical, I mean, to the water district. A technical issue with the school districts is how, an understanding what goes on in schools. And so a lot of school district board members are parents who are interested and actively involved with their children's education. Okay, the final thing we'll talk about are regional agencies. Regional agencies are agencies that must cover more than one county. So the U.S. government requires that every a metropolitan area have a metropolitan transportation agency. Um, and in California, even those areas that aren't required to have MTAs have regional planning agencies. These agencies help to coordinate the federal funds that come to states for transportation, for roads, for public transit, and things like that. They must create a 20-year regional transportation plan. So, overview, what do we want our transportation to look like in 2040? They also need to create 5-year regional transportation improvement plans. Okay, so if this is what we want it to look like in 2040, what is it that we're going to do today and over the next 5 years to get there? Another type of regional agency is a congestion management agency. These are required when air quality gets out of control, and it helps to coordinate air quality and congestion issues between jurisdictions so that, for instance, smog is alleviated to the extent possible. Then there are councils of governments. These are um, governments that they don't have their own elected officials. A council of government, like a council of Orange County cities, for instance, might have representatives from all of the cities. City council people from all of the cities will be selected to sit on the Orange County Council of Government board. And largely, what these organizations do is coordinate area policy making across borders. This could have something to do with waste management. It could have something to do with homelessness, economic development, disaster planning, and things like that. So, in summary, how do California local governments work? First of all, local governments are defined by the state government and are always kind of subservient and work the way the state government requires. They are expected to provide a specific set of services, and these are well defined. They are limited in their tax structures by Prop 13. Mostly they are nonpartisan. There are a few of the big cities, like Los Angeles, have a Democratic mayor or a Republican city council person, but for the most part, they're nonpartisan. The political leaders largely serve as administrators and overseers, whereas the staff are providing the day-to-day actual delivery of services. They also are seen as administrators and overseers rather than policy innovators. Local government in California simply doesn't have enough money to do very much beyond what they're required to do. The local governments are largely seen by the public as good governments. They're seen positively, and they're seen that they are effective. In fact, local governments get the highest ratings out of any level of government. Congress tends to be hated. The president tends to be hated. The state legislature, the governor, they all tend to evoke fairly negative emotions. Local government, though, seems to get a lot of support from um, its voters. So that wraps up local government. Do your activity, and we will proceed with um, the crisis in the cities next.